I want to thank you for taking some time out today to join us in this discussion here in this interview in regards to motivation and how it's been able to play a role in the success that you were able to accomplish. So before we dive into our interview questions here, I just wanted to take a short moment here just for you to introduce who you are, um, your role within our Fresno State community, and we'll go from there.
So, hello again. It's a pleasure to be here with you. Thank you, Jamal, for the invitation. Love to speak about motivation, success, and you. My name is Jerry Gomez. I was born in Jalisco, Mexico. Raised in Hanford, California, for majority of my life. Went to Hanford High School and then did my bachelor's at Fresno State. I did mass communications and journalism with an emphasis in broadcast. And then I went straight into my master's program. I did the student affairs and college counseling program and graduated in May 2019, not too long ago, almost a year ago. And currently I work at the Student Involvement Center at Fresno State. I coordinate the off-campus student life program and also coordinator of innovation, several programs under that, like esports, family weekend, and other programs that you'll see around campus. But, I think my biggest role is like a student affairs professional that focuses on, making sure that the students succeed. And that's my motto right there, just finding ways to help out students all the time.
Being a member in the Fresno State community and having known you for a number of years, I would also say that you're definitely one who is driven by motivation and then is able to motivate so many other people that you're connected to. So I wanted to ask, who or what motivates you?
Wow, okay, that's a big question, and I love that you asked, because I want to start with the what. Because I think growing up, I didn't know what motivated me, but I always found myself to be happy and enjoy what I do. And I think that's the answer. Like, you have to find things that you enjoy doing. For example, like when I chose my first major, I really love watching soccer. In Spanish, or universally, it's known as football. So anything that involves soccer, I could play it, I could speak about it, I could read, write, listen to it on the radio, or listen to live talks. And that's what I enjoyed doing. So when I went into state, like, for me, like, adjusting to doing the coursework for MCJ was really easy for me, because I think I knew what I loved to do. But in the midst of that, like, I also found another huge passion that I love doing, and I feel like I'm always gonna love doing. And I didn't realize that I was gonna love doing this more than soccer. And this is helping people. To be more specific, it's helping students. I got an opportunity with EOP, and they started the Stand Together as One program. It was like a pilot program off of EOP, where we got to work with male students. And I didn't know that I was going to find such a huge passion and motivation to work with this group of students. And I still do. So when you ask me about what I do in the community, that's one of the things I do. Like, I really try to focus on helping male students of color, underrepresented men, do well in school, because I come from the same background. So what motivates me? I think any type of like club or activity, or even the job that I do now, I made sure that I have some sort of passion for it. And not just some sort of, like, when I mean passion, it's like you love it. It's not, you don't do it because, like, you get paid to do it, or because someone told you to do it. Like, I've been very lucky and fortunate to find opportunities where I get to immerse myself and throw in my full personality. And I think knowing that I love it, that I wake up in the morning, and I want to do it, and I want to put in my 120% at it. Those are things that, like, keep me motivated. Absolutely, there's times where other things in life happen where you feel like less motivation, but I think I'll dive into that later. But yeah, always try to find things that you love. Some of you, I know, you are artistic, you're realistic. You love to like figure things out. you're curious about life. Maybe you are more someone who likes and enjoys working with numbers, or maybe you're someone who doesn't really enjoy working with people, but or like the opposite, you love working with people. So I think in the moment you have to reflect, like, okay, what are the things that I enjoy doing? And then I think you're gonna find your key to motivation, and then that leads into success. In terms of like who motivates me, that's a huge question, but I'll keep it simple, and then I'll go more into detail as well. Family, friends, and colleagues, but to be more specific, life and work mentors are the people who motivate me the most. Why family? I think, from my background, my parents decided to immigrate to the United States because we wanted a better life. We're in search of the American dream. The American dream, in reality, everyone has a different definition to it. For us, is really for us, it was to live a better life financially and also more peacefully, because in the U.S. you have so many opportunities that you could take advantage of. And I think financially, my dad has always had it's not the highest paying job, but it's very very noble, very very humble. But luckily, we are able to like survive, have shelter and food, and every single day, and they still do, right? Mm-hmm. So I think, knowing that like I had the opportunity to go to college and like be in the career that I am now, I think I thought about like, okay, like this is a way that I can continue supporting not only my family, but also my little siblings, my two sisters, my cousins, that, you never know who's looking up to you. So I think at the end of the day, like families always, even though you don't speak with them every day, like they can motivate you for different reasons. And I think family, more than anyone, they know you the best. So they know what to tell you. If it's tough love, if it's like soft words, like, I believe in you, or like, you know what, you could do better than that B. I know you, and it's not like maybe that it was really hard to get that B, but like at the end of the day, they're pushing you. So sometimes they give you tough love to motivate you more. So I think family and the way they speak to you really like motivates you to do the things that maybe you have a lack of motivation to get involved with. But I want to get to the most important one. I think if you want to get motivated the most, and someone who motivates me the most is really like having life and work mentors. With life, there's different things that we all experience, right? We experience different types of relationships. Could be professional, could be more like friendship based, or even relationships where you're like with a significant partner or a significant other. And I think having someone that understands life a little bit better, it might be 1 year, where sometimes a lot of my mentors are a lot a lot older than I am, to be honest, because they've been through the experience, or they've been through something similar. So they're able to share some background and some knowledge about that. So I think always relying on my life mentors for several things has kept me on the right path. It's helped me feel motivated when I wasn't feeling too motivated. And I think having work or school mentors is something else. I think there's still like life mentors, but I think it's very catered to the discipline that you're participating in, right? I think a lot of you are students. A lot of you are looking for opportunities to grow as a professional, like a job, an internship, or maybe you're taking on like an officer position in a club, or like you're part of a club sport, or you're team captain, or you're your shift manager, but it involves school at the same time. So I think having those type of mentors, it could be like your manager, it could be someone you met at a conference, or maybe like you just had a really good interaction with someone and you feel like they can give you the advice to maybe like do better, like in an interview, do better in a job role, or maybe when you need a reference. I think having those work and life mentors are always good to keep around. I'll tell you that. Like for me, really relying on my family, friends, life and work mentors, it's really keep me motivated. And I think the last one that I want to share is really, I consider myself more as an optimistic person, or a positive person too, because there's differences, right? There's people who are more, and nothing wrong with this, they're more pessimistic, but that means they're more realistic, right? Where they look at a situation and they say, you know what, this can go wrong. And you know what, I think being a positive person and being the person I am, and if you encounter people like this, I don't think we should judge them. I think we should listen. There's a reason they're concerned. There's a reason they're worried, because they probably experienced something in the past. But like, I think for me, even if I've experienced negative, or if I connect a negative association to something, I still try to find ways to stay positive. Like with friends, for example, sometimes, some interactions don't go the best. That's not happens. You get in an argument, or maybe you didn't get the best cut of the deal, but that's okay. I think if you're someone who finds ways to stay positive, I think that those are things that keep me motivated. Like for example, I always try to log on to Pinterest or any site that has the motivational quotes. And I think it's so strange, but life will give you the quotes that you need in the moment. Like maybe you don't know that you need it in a moment, but like you'll run into a quote and it's very abstract, but it might be speaking to something that you're experimenting. So I really recommend looking up positive quotes or even like videos if that helps. But those are like the three main areas that keep me motivated. People, like family, friends, mentors, doing things that you love, and staying positive, and there's multiple ways to stay positive, but I'll stay with those three. And I explain it in detail so that you can find different opportunities. So if you ever want to try that out.
How and when did you discover these sources of motivation?
I think you honestly don't know. Like for me, I didn't realize that, I found my source of motivation. But I think one of the ways that you'll know is when you're going through a moment of despair. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to be vulnerable and very transparent with all of you. That's just who I always been, right? I feel, I could share feelings and moments, but I think when you're going through a moment of despair, that's where you find your source of motivation. Because when you feel lost, when you feel like maybe you don't see the light of the light to the end of the tunnel. When I started school, I think, I was the first in my family to go into a 4-year college, and I had to leave my home, and I didn't really have a lot of family to rely on to ask them like, hey, how do I get through school? So I felt lost. I felt like I was the only one. I felt lonely, to be honest. And then in the midst of all that, like, you feel very uncomfortable. So I think when you get tired of feeling like that, like feeling like in a dark place, I think naturally what people want to do is to like find a solution. So like the way I found my source of solution is I found that like being connected to people who know me or who know my abilities, that's how you find your source of motivation. So I think right now, like if you're trying to find a source of motivation, I really I challenge you to reflect and think about the people who know you. Think about the people who know your abilities. Think about people who can really speak about your talents, your skills, that have seen you in a different environment, right? Like sometimes we function different in different areas, right? Like some of you are athletes, some of you are artists, some of you are really good at like taking care of children. I don't know, whatever vocation you have, right? But sometimes there's a quote, right? Like, we shouldn't judge a fish by his ability to climb a tree. I think it goes something like that, right? And sometimes we're put into those uncomfortable situations where we might have to learn how to climb the tree, even though that's not our skill. But and then sometimes we go really down on ourselves. But I think if you find those people that can give you that source of motivation, they'll tell you like, you know what, I remember when you used to do this, and maybe you should adjust the way you're doing it. And I think, they'll coach you the right way. They'll guide you. But honestly, like, in moments of despair, you'll find your source of motivation, and just by being open-minded, be adjustable, be adaptable. I know it's really easy to say just be adaptable, but I think what I mean by that is, try to find ways to be open-minded to the way of doing things, because sometimes we may have to do things that we're not really comfortable with doing. But the moment we start like to wiggle and just, let your mind go, free up your mind a little bit, you'll release a lot of anxiety. You'll release a lot of your uncomfortableness, and and you're going to find that source of motivation. I think that's the best way I can answer. It's very abstract, but again, that's the best way I could answer this question.
And can you tell us about a specific time when you had to rely on these sources of motivation to overcome a point of adversity?
Yeah, absolutely. I wrote 4 things right here. So
Mhm.
definitely like a lot of times that I need to rely on my sources of motivation is definitely during difficult times in life or in school. Um, Grad school definitely was like a major like challenge for me. That was tough. I think even when I had a lack of a lack of motivation, like I think because lack of motivation could take you to a point of adversity, because you may need it to achieve something, but when you don't have the motivation to achieve it, it might distract you from where you need to go. But like, let me get real specific. I think one of the hardest moments that I probably needed uh, that I really needed motivation was really when I was applying for jobs right out of before finishing my master's program, because I think at that point you start thinking about things like, you know what, like all these jobs, they require a certain amount of experience, years, or you need certain amount of references, or like the people around you, like your circle, they ask you every single day, like, hey, have you found a job? Have you applied? Have you done this and that? Have you asked for letters of references? And then at the same time, you're not only applying for positions, but you're trying to finish your program. Like you're trying to get your courses done. You're trying to make sure that like everything else that you're involved with, you want to do it like at a really good level, because you care about it, but also because at the end of the day, like it'll speak about your work once you know the reference are being called, or they need to speak about your work. So I would say like that was like a moment that I felt like you feel uncomfortable. You start feeling like, you know, you start thinking about negative things too, like what if I don't get the job, or what if I don't find a job, or what if I'm not ready to take on whatever I need to do. So I think whatever situation you're experiencing, reach out to those sources of motivation. Like I read quotes. I called my family, like I called my dad, and I said, hey dad, like I don't know, when you came to the US, like you didn't, how did you know that you wanted to be a dairyman? He said, trust me, I did everything. I worked in construction work. I just hated it. I didn't like it. He said, I worked in the fields. You know, it's a humble job, but I didn't enjoy it. But once I found a job at a dairy, thanks to a Portuguese man, you know, he found love for it. Like it's again, it's a job that didn't require too much education, but he figured it out, like because of the, you know, the people around him. Like, hey Victor, you like working with animals. Hey Victor, you like working outside. I think this is perfect for you. So that's the same thing he told me. Like, you know what, like reach out to the people that know your work, and then they're gonna tell you, like, you know, that you're a hard worker, that you'll how to find like they're gonna tell you how to interview. So I think those are moments that you need to reach out to the people that know you the best, because they're, at the end of the day, they know you, and then they're gonna put their hands in the fire for you.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna advocate for what you do, and you're gonna be able to tell the stories that, like, maybe in the moment you're not gonna remember those stories, but I think, you know, people who keep you positive, people who reassure you. I always talk about words of validation, like, or affirmation statements.
Mm-hmm.
I think, you know, that, you know, that's where you go to your sources of motivation. I think for me, I needed a lot of words of affirmation. So I'm not gonna lie. I went on Google and I searched quotes of affirmation, and you have to practice these every day. Like, you have to look in the mirror, or maybe before going to bed, and read each one, maybe like 1 or 2 times, and to the point where you start believing it. And I think once you start believing it, it's a good thing, because first of it is put it in your mind, and then you act it out. Like, so you physically do it. And I think this is how you, yeah, that's pretty much in a nutshell what I would do.
So how does motivation help you in the work that you do now?
Oh, I think, you know, I think every day, like, I think, you definitely need motivation, because like I mentioned earlier, the role that I'm in now, I really love what I do. I love working with commuter students. I I honestly never thought I would work for student involvement, and I think the work that we do there is very valuable to the campus and really to college success, because I didn't realize how important getting involved is connected to the way you do in school, especially with our commuter population, where I have these sayings called Jamalisms. I remember Jamal always talking about his theory that he came up with, and it was called the student jumps in their car, they go into parking lot, classroom, back into parking lot, and then they go home. Some of you are really good at some students are really good at doing good and doing well in school and life with that maybe that routine. But I feel for other students, I think it's very critical for you to find something to get involved with, because at the end of the day, I talked about earlier, like having a network. When you get involved in the Fresno community, you make Fresno State almost like your home away from home. You get to meet people maybe that's maybe the same age as you, so you get to know friends for life. You get to meet student professionals that believe in you. So like when you're in moments of adversity, you need to rely on these people to help you get through whatever situation it is. Maybe you can't get into the class you want, or maybe you're looking for a job, and these people are there to help you. So I think working for student involvement is definitely, like, I always need motivation to do that, because it's a lot of work that we do. But like at the end of the day, like if I remind myself of why I am in this field, it's a source of motivation. So you're reminding yourself, why do I love working for student involvement? Why do I love working doing the profession that I do? But I think now, like if we speak in current terms, we're all like in going through the COVID-19 precautions. So I'm working from home. Like I'm on my couch. I'm at home. So I think some of you are maybe experimenting this, right? Where you're trying to do your schoolwork. Maybe you're trying to live life. Maybe I don't know if you live with your parents or you have kids for yourself, but sometimes I find it very distracting to work from home, because you're tempted to, maybe sleep a little bit more. Maybe you want to watch TV, you get comfortable. So I think for me, like, I always try to find ways to stay motivated, because there's a lot of negative things going on in the news right now. So what do? I turn off the news. I don't listen to it. Instead, I rely on podcasters that I feel are very knowledgeable in the subject, but at the same time, they provide a source of motivation. I listen to Joe Rogan. Mm-hmm. I feel like I'm informed about like what's going on in the world, but at the same time, he says things in a way where I question them. So always find different ways to stay motivated. Obviously, there's no soccer right now. There's no sports. So sometimes that I feel very bored, and I feel maybe like, I don't know, like I can't do the normal things that I love to do, like being out with people, like staying connected, like physically. I can't go out and go to my work, which I love to do. So I think like when the ways that I stay motivated here at work is really like reminding myself, like, hey, like I have to build good habits, because like there's a difference between, I've always said it, there's difference between feeling motivated and having good habits. And sometimes you have to motivate yourself to build good habits. So like I had to go back almost to like when I was in school. I had to build like a little routine for myself. I have a whiteboard in my not my office, but my room. And it tells me like, okay, at 8 a.m., I'm going to get up and I'm going to prepare breakfast. So I spend 30 minutes preparing my breakfast. I get myself replenished. I make some coffee, and I'm awake. And another way that I stay motivated is, even though like there's not a lot, I'm not connecting with my coworkers or my bosses, I still find ways to get ready. So I put on a work polo. My hair's messy. I haven't gone to the barber in maybe a month. So I wear hats. And for me, it's like doing my hair, right? Yep. So you gotta adjust to the moment, right?
Yep.
So, and I think when you stick to your routine, like maybe at this time, I'm going to go for a run. Instead of eating lunch, I'm going to go for a run outside, or maybe on my balcony, and that's going to be my workout. So I really recommend when staying motivated, also to build good habits for you. Like you're gonna shower, you're gonna maybe you're gonna call your parents for 10 minutes, call your friends for another 10 minutes, and then at night when it's time to rest, make some time for fun too. Have an art night. Watch Netflix, binge watch a show, but like don't binge watch it all the way till 3-4 a.m. Give yourself a limit. So really like throw in some time management, good habits, and motivation. And that's how I do the work that I do now. Like, and that keeps me motivated. I keep myself happy, positive, and I don't know, maybe some of you will relate to what I just said too.
What advice would you share with someone looking for their source of motivation or hoping to increase their motivation?
Number one thing I spoke about, like reflection.
Mhm.
And I think when you feel unmotivated, you don't really know it because you can't put a name to it. So I think when you're feeling like that feeling of like, you know what, I don't want to do this assignment. You know what, I don't feel like doing this right now. You know, I don't feel like speaking to anyone. Those are all signs that you don't feel motivated for some reason or another. So I think something I always do, I try to reflect on why I don't feel motivated. Like either it's thinking about it, or maybe it's talking it through with one of my mentors, or speaking it with like maybe my family member or someone that knows me very well, like a friend. And then like that's when you start finding answers. Like, you know what, I don't feel motivated because of so and so reason. Okay, you found like why you don't feel motivated, and the next step is really to forgive yourself for not feeling motivated, because there's many times where like, you know, society will expect us to feel motivated all the time, but that's almost impossible. So I think you got to give yourself some grace. Like, let's say today I wasn't able to get any assignments done, or I wasn't able to do any of my projects, and at night you're feeling like a source of anxiety or a source of like guilt. I think because this happened to me like a week ago, I felt very unmotivated. But at the end of the day, I started reflecting like, okay, why do I feel like this? Okay, because I don't have a routine. That was the answer. I don't have a routine. I don't have a schedule.
Mhm.
So I thought about that. And then the next thing is like, okay, how do I get rid of the guilt? So I sat there and I said, you know what, Jerry? Forgive yourself. I said sorry to myself. I said, you know what? I'm going to let go of this guilt. And the next thing I told myself, okay, in order so you start to negotiate. And the way I negotiated was like this. I told myself, okay, maybe today I wasn't able to do this and that, but tomorrow I promise at 8 a.m. I'm going to start fresh. I'm going to do so-and-so goals and I'm going to get it done. And I'm going to tell you, like, when you start doing that, you're going to come back motivated. You're going to come back feeling refreshed and ready to do whatever you need to do. So that's my number one step. Really, like, reflect why you don't feel motivated, forgive yourself, and then from there, you know, focus on what you can control. Because I think with today's situation, there's so many things that we can't control, but there's a lot of things that you can control. So on the things that you can control, those are the things that you put in the work. Because of the moment you start giving thought to the things that you cannot like really control, those are the feelings and thoughts that will keep you down, and then it will keep you distracted from whatever you're doing. So those are my three keys. Like, and I think number four, I spoke about it earlier. Like, I think you have to dress for the occasion. So if you're like about to take an exam, or you're about to go into a job interview, or you are trying to work on a paper, you need to dress for the occasion. You know, like for ASWs today, I said, you know what, I'm gonna wear my mentoring hat, because it's something I love to do, to work for in my style. I love working with men. And then I see Jamal is wearing his coat, and so he's ready for presentation mode, right?
Yep.
So for all of you out there, if you're gonna take a test, dress up. If you're a guy or a man, clean shave, do your hair, groom yourself, and then get yourself in work mode. For the ladies out there, wear your slacks or your blazer, and those sorts of things will keep you motivated.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like any soccer player or like in football, right? You can't go out there with your flip-flops. you can't go out there with, what do you call them, your Crocs, right? You're gonna have, you may be able to play pretty good, but it's not the same thing.
Yeah.
I think ideally for soccer player, you need to wear your soccer jersey, your shorts, your soccer, your shin guards, and your cleats.
Mm-hmm.
So and I think all those things will keep you motivated. So dress for the occasion, and that's the way to increase any source of motivation. And just speaking from the heart right now. So
yeah. In all of the goals that you're going towards, there's a lot of things that can have an impact in how we negatively view our motivation and negatively perceive where we are in regards to our goals. So it's going to be really critical to be able to have the ability and the resilience to tap into our sources of motivation and use those things to pick ourselves up and keep going forward. I really appreciate the time that you gave us today, Jerry. I really find like a lot of motivation from working with peers, working with professionals in their development, reflecting and having time to reflect on my own journey, seeing reflections of my journey and those that I'm surrounded with, also encountering people with a totally different walk of life and how they found motivation through that. Those are things that are uplifting. And like you mentioned earlier, those quotes that you stumble upon, they might appear on your screen. You might see a post in your social media feed of a motivational quote. There might be a famous person that you're studying or reading about, and they have a quote and it just speaks to you. Just having those things and keeping those things close really can keep us in a strong driver's seat of our motivation. So we want to thank you for participating in this interview with us today. And we welcome you to continue to access different content that's available, not only in our SupportNet library of academic success workshops, but also if you're looking to get involved and get connected on campus, definitely connect with our off-campus student life office. You'll find Jerry Gomez and a lot of great professionals there as well. And we want you to have a great day and continue to build on yourself, and hopefully that this and additional resources that you encounter on campus can play a role in your motivation.